there's no doubt about the fact that Canada is in a not so good place right now. We have the real opportunity with our land, with our people, with our natural resources, our minerals, to do greatness, to be one of the richest countries in the entire world. Yet we consistently somehow keep voting in these progressive, overly progressive governments that are absolutely destroying our economy, our immigration, and basically just getting rid of all Canadian values. For crying out loud, Canada's identity is, or culture is multiculturalism, which is a tough pill to swallow. Now, this video is pretty much highlighting the fact that Charlie Kirk saw the potential that Canada really could be. In fact, saw the potential of what Alberta could be and was pretty open about it. So we're going to be taking a look at what Charlie Kirk has to think and has to say about Canada. And before we do, I do want to encourage you all to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't yet already. It does tremendously help grow the channel. Here we go, folks.
You would think the way the West was built was with a intergenerational social compact. I, at age 60, am going to sacrifice for future generations. I might not have the life that I want, but my kids will, and that will give me satisfaction. That is how you build a country. That is how civilization improves. When you have delayed gratification, it's how you leave a legacy.
Yeah, and we don't really have that ability right now. Canada is just so poorly managed, right? We're seeing this time and time again that our government wants to pretty much get everybody on like a form of UBI, right? And they live in this weird dystopian delusion of this utopia that just can't exist, where you can rely fully on the government for everything. You don't have to work hard for anything. In fact, working hard for things, capitalism, is satanic. That's kind of how Canada views that type of work ethic. There's something severely wrong with that, but that's not the only clip we've got of Charlie Kirk.
And we saw with the results last evening, Mr. Carney defeated the conservative insurgency, which had a massive lead just a month and a half ago. And to be honest, President Trump's issuing of tariffs against Canada helped the Liberal Party in Canada.
It didn't have to.
Which, interestingly, the Conservative Party very well should have positioned themselves as a way to benefit from it. But Canadian voters said, oh, Trump is a conservative party. We want to stay liberal.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate. I mean, it was definitely equal playing field for both the conservatives and the liberals. Like, there wasn't necessarily an advantage that the liberals had with the tariffs and with what Trump was doing. They just outplayed the conservatives in that last 3-month stretch to really navigate the single most critical issue that became at the forefront of the majority of the country's voters, which was tariffs, trade war, who's going to do what. And unfortunately, the liberals beat the conservatives to the punch, right? But also, unfortunately, on top of that, Canada has historically been the pride of Canada, the real true patriotism of Canada is founded upon not being American, not in the sense of, hey, we're proud to be Canadian, we're going to wave our flag. It's always been, well, at least we don't have school shootings. At least we have universal health care. Hey, how much was your hospital bill? We didn't have a hospital bill. That's how Canadians and Canadian political parties have, for the most part, viewed America and Americans. And there's something very much inherently wrong with that. This video is sponsored by Private Internet Access. Private Internet Access is my go-to VPN for many different reasons. It makes me feel safe when I'm browsing the internet. So it allows me to hide my identity, as well as make sure that the government isn't stealing my information and selling it to a bunch of private companies. It also gives me the ability to go on Netflix, Hulu, and all of the streaming platforms and take a look at content that wouldn't be available in Canada. So if I want to watch American content on Netflix, I can easily just boot up Private Internet Access. Some countries around the world, just like Canada, ban people from being able to view the news. So having a VPN like Private Internet Access allows you to get past that barrier. One subscription to Private Internet Access covers all of your devices. In fact, it's actually unlimited amount of devices, which is pretty freaking cool. If you want to take back control of your identity and your personal information when browsing online, then private internet access is the VPN for you. If you click the link down below in the description, the pinned comment below, or scan the QR code on the screen, you get 83% off plus 4 months for free when you click the link down below in the description. You also get a 30-day money-back guarantee, which is phenomenal. Thank you, Private Internet Access, for sponsoring today's video.
The amount of people that Canada is bringing in through mass migration will destroy Canada. Canada's already basically destroyed. It's 1 million people a year. Canada is literally falling apart. Its average home price is tens of thousands of dollars higher than here in America. Even though Canada has nothing but space and lower incomes than America, it is a choice.
Oh my goodness. Is it ever? I mean, that's the harsh reality of the matter, is that Canada is somehow, we're living in such a weird timeline that it's racist to say, hey, you know what? I think we've got a little bit too much immigration. I think we're bringing in too many people for the amount of houses and jobs that we're creating, that, you know, I'm just going to call you a racist for thinking that. It's bizarre. It's absolutely bizarre. And we are bringing in way too many people, and the media, the left, want you to be labeled as a racist for being able to point these things out, which again is insane. Absolutely insane.
Now 100 days. 100 days of President Trump, the contrast and the difference. And you should be saying your prayers of gratitude today. Thank you, Lord, for saving us. Thank you, Lord, for giving us the grace, because Canada, we are going to be neighboring a semi-Soviet country soon. It's not an exaggeration. And now Canada is in a irreversible death spiral, held captive by environmentalism, mass migration, critical theory. It is every dynamic imaginable packaged.
It really is. I mean, the critical theory aspect of it has me and my wife thinking that, you know what, I think that we're probably going to homeschool our kids because of just how crazy Canada's education system truly is becoming. I mean, it's almost so crazy that it's not believable, but unfortunately it is believable, and it's very much happening in this country. It's disgusting.
And it goes to show that this right-wing revolution is not happening in every state, every country, but it is happening in ours. And we made it happen, largely because free speech is our birthright. And everyday Americans rose up and gave us that man.
So on this point, I think that the content creators, the Republican, more right-leaning center of right creators in America, were able to come together a little bit better with the political parties than what Canada ever could have been, right? You've seen the refusal of the Conservative Party to go on certain podcasts, and now when he's doing it, it's like, it's kind of weird. It's just going through the motion. It doesn't seem as genuinely involved with the creators that are providing a service to the party, which is, hey man, we've got the voters watching our shows. We want to help you, but you have to be able to, you know, play the game a little bit, and we just don't see that in Canada. So there's a bit of a fracture, a little bit of a mismanagement in the right now, and we unfortunately, I think that we may have peaked with the anti-Trudeau movement. We're just gonna have to wait and see how this does play out, but there is some hope on the horizon, right? And some of that hope does derive from, you know, a bit of a Alberta separation mentality. And Charlie Kirk was actually pretty fond of that. Let's have a look here.
Canada's a real problem, man. I mean, because you have, I would basically allow Alberta to become its own country.
I lived in Alberta too, so
yeah, Edmonton or
Calgary.
Yeah, the two best parts of Canada are Edmonton and Calgary. Beautiful country too. It's amazing.
Thank you.
Canada's a really screwed up country, and it's a self-hating country, as you well know, that prides itself on being polite. And this is a great lesson for those of us in the West, that your favorable characteristics of being polite, nice, and welcoming can also be your downfall. And you know that in Canada, right?
Yeah.
Super polite. Okay, we're just going to allow a bunch of foreigners over on our country. Super polite. We're not going to allow anyone. We're not going to have free speech. Canada's got a big problem. It does not have this, the Constitution. So you do not have robust free speech protections. You do not have Second Amendment protections. So the government is able to do whatever they want. I wouldn't want to be prime.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing that time and time again. Even right now with what's going on, you're seeing the Liberal government is literally doing whatever they want, right? There's no repercussions, there's no accountability, there's no voting, there's no democratic process. The Liberals are just managing the country however they want with unchecked amount of spending, right? We were supposed to have a budget, which is supposed to be openly, discussed and debated upon. And we haven't had that in 6 months. And we were supposed to have it now. And it's being pushed again for a couple months from now or a month and a half from now. It's disgusting what our Liberal government keeps doing, right? And all these things are really leading people to the sentiment that the best thing for Canada is either to be a part of America or just to fracture the country and to have more separatist movements.
Minister of Canada. I wouldn't last very long. But between Ottawa, Toronto, and Vancouver, you have some of the most liberal cities on the planet, as you well know. Canada, I think, is bringing in like half of its population in the next decade in immigrants. It's just not sustainable.
I know.
And it's too bad. It was a once great country.
Canada absolutely has fallen. And unfortunately, I don't know if there's much of what we could do about that right now. It feels like we're a little bit helpless, which is why there's so many people in Alberta that are standing up to the plate and saying, hey, we gotta get ourselves out of here, out of this mess, because we don't want to be attached to the Liberal federal government. And I, for one, don't blame them. It seems like Charlie Kirk, my goodness, my licks dextia. Charlie Kirk also thought that Alberta separation would be a pretty good thing for Canada. But that's not the only thing going on in Canada. In fact, Quebec is also going through, their referendum process quite soon again. And they've, tried twice and it failed. Didn't really fail by much. I feel like if Quebec does it again, it's going to pass. So it seems like a bit of a race between who's going to be able to separate from Canada first, Alberta or Quebec. But the interesting part here is Quebec is now acknowledging Alberta's referendum process and their separatist movement. And they're going, well, I guess we will have neighboring country, the Quebec country and the Alberta Republic. It's kind of cool, man. It's kind of cool. So let's have a look.
Give a boost to the sovereignty movement.
Of course, if people in Quebec want to remain Quebecers, they will have to think faster and faster and stronger about the idea of having a country of their own, which will befriend with its neighbors. And not a bad timing, because I seem to understand that the numbers of the Parti québécois are not so bad.
So the Parti québécois is the literal separatist provincial group in Quebec. So that's what he's referring to is like, oh, okay, well, it seems like we may have more neighboring countries sooner than later, right? That's a pretty fascinating public acknowledgement.
Monsieur Saint-Pierre Plamondon just had a successful visit to Alberta where he built a number of bridges with independence leaders in Alberta. Are you planning in the near future to travel to Alberta yourself or meet with leaders of Alberta's independence movement?
I had thought about it, but I understand that since Paul did it, it is not necessary for me to do that trip. But I'm very open to this idea. We have to start all independentist voices and leaders to explain who we are, what we want, the way we would do it, and what it would be the morning after. We have to do that. This is what I do when I go in Washington, also when I go in Paris or everywhere. And we have to do that in Canada also, because if it comes, we've got to make it smooth and best for everybody.
Oh my goodness. So it really seems like it is happening. This is, I believe, the first public acknowledgement we've had from another federal, member of parliament that Alberta is going through the process. And it just so happens that it's Quebec. So he's at the federal level. Under him is the party that wants to and probably will separate. And he's for it, right? You can see Quebec, every single pretty much Quebec politician is pretty much on board a little bit with separatism. But the Parti québécois, the PQ, is really the party that's going to bring it home, right? So it's funny because it's a race right now between Alberta and Quebec. And We're going to have to wait and see how this does play out. But I would like to know what you guys think down below in the comments about Quebec, about Alberta, and even what Charlie Kirk had to say, may he rest in peace, about Alberta and or even about Canada. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, it'd be super awesome for you guys to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in another one. Bye for now.